We live in an era characterized by a specific, humming anxiety. The ancient Vedic texts call this Kali Yuga, a historical age where the restless mind seeks peace through material acquisitions and sensory experiences, often while remaining spiritually blind. We attempt to solve this unrest through the tools we value most, including sociology, political restructuring, and intellectual debate. Yet these methods often fail to extinguish the blazing fire of material existence, leaving the underlying stress of the modern world untouched. The root of suffering is an invisible trap, the false ego, identifying our eternal self with temporary circumstances. Without spontaneous attraction to the divine, intellectual studies remain simply labor. Breaking this trap requires bakthi yoga, a shift to active devotional service. Hanuman demonstrates the outcome of this shift. He illustrates a state where an individual possesses immense capability, yet their identity is rooted entirely in service rather than personal gain. In this framework, true power is found by conquering the internal ego. By setting aside the demands of the I, a person becomes an instrument for a much larger, divine purpose. Consider the physical reality of Hanuman. He possesses enough strength to crush mountains and defeat entire armies single-handedly. Yet upon meeting Lord Rama, this power is nowhere in his posture. He does not announce his achievements or seek a position of status. He approaches solely as a submissive servant. While the modern mind often seeks to use its talents to build personal prestige, the devotee seeks only to be utilized. The focus is not on what I can do, but on how I can serve. This illustrates a principle found in the prayers of Queen Kunti, that the Supreme is easily approached by those who are materially exhausted. When the heart is full of its own importance and prestige, it leaves no room for a genuine connection with the divine. This connection is tested when Hanuman faces a literal impassable barrier, a vast, turbulent ocean separating him from his mission in Lanka. He does not rely on material probability or calculate the physical mechanics of the leap. Instead, he acts through unwavering faith in the name of Rama. From this spiritual perspective, the scale of the obstacle changes. The texts describe that for one who has taken shelter of the Lord, the vast ocean of material miseries shrinks to the size of the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Hesitation is often a symptom of relying on the limited material mind. Active faith allows the soul to move past the boundaries of what the intellect considers possible. When Hanuman is eventually captured in enemy territory, his captors attempt to torture him by setting his tail on fire. Despite the blazing heat, he remains psychologically unaffected. Because his actions are dedicated entirely to a higher purpose, he is detached from the material distress of the body. This is detachment in action. When an individual is fully absorbed in divine service, material threats lose their power to cause fear. They are simply transformed into another means to complete the mission. Later, during a medical crisis, Hanuman is sent to retrieve a specific healing herb from a distant mountain. Because he cannot identify the exact plant, he faces a choice between returning with an excuse or finding a new solution. He chooses to lift the entire mountain and carry it back to the battlefield. He bypasses his lack of botanical knowledge through sheer, unhesitating effort. In this tradition, excuses are viewed as a defense mechanism of the false ego. True devotion is defined by offering the maximum possible effort to fulfill a mission, regardless of one's personal limitations. The depth of this commitment is revealed in a final, visceral act. When his loyalty is questioned, Hanuman tears open his own chest. Inside, there is no formless void or abstract energy. Instead, he reveals the persons of Lord Rama and Sita physically residing within his heart. This contrasts with philosophies that view the universe as ultimately empty. Hanuman's life argues that the divine is a person with whom one can have a permanent, loving relationship. It suggests that theoretical knowledge of God is incomplete until it becomes a practical, personal connection lived out through service. This ancient template remains relevant for those living in the anxiety-ridden atmosphere of the modern age. While few are called to leap across oceans or carry mountains, The psychological weight of Kali Yuga is a burden most people carry daily. The Sanjivani, or the cure for this age, is described as the act of chanting the holy name and adopting the humble mood of the servant. This focused practice acts as a sword to sever the knots of material anxiety, cutting through the reactionary patterns of work and consequence that keep the mind in a state of unrest. By choosing the mindset of service over the demands of the false ego, the internal friction of the modern world begins to quiet. As the ancient verses suggest, it is through this surrender that the soul finally becomes completely satisfied.